Sometime in 2018, I had knee surgery. I used to be very active. I play sports all the time. And then I had that injury. And there's something about going through surgery where I was essentially knocked out. So it was like, I felt like I died and I woke up. And there was just something about that hit me in some type of way. And for a period of time, life felt like it was meaningless. There was nothing. And so that was when I started becoming first aware about like what depression really is.
What year was this?
This was 2018. This was 2018. Like you did, I read a lot. I spoke to a bunch of people about it and about their own experiences. And it turns out that the way I was able to pull myself out of that was by just realizing that, well, first of all, I'm already here. First of all, I'm already here. I can choose to take responsibility for that and start doing things that would enable me to make the best out of my time here. And I just realized that there are many things that one can do to create meaning out of life. And anybody can do those things for themselves, but for some reason, there's a lack of access to information, and these things are not really discussed very openly. So everybody's kind of like trying to figure it out.
Yes. Why did you move to Lagos?
I moved to Lagos to start a company called Andela.
You were a co-founder of Andela?
Yes.
Right.
So prior to that, I was living in Toronto, actually.
Right.
So I like to say it was like a spiritual experience for me, because I left Nigeria to study in Canada May 21st, 2007. And then May 21st, 2014, exactly 7 years later, I was on a one-way flight to Lagos to start this thing. So that's my interesting fun fact that I like to share. It gives things like some deep meaning. So that was when I made the move to Lagos, and I've lived here ever since.
What made you make the move, though?
Oh, well,
because... yes, we're going to start a business.
Yes.
What made you decide that it was worth leaving Canada
for
Nigeria? And at that time, the tech industry wasn't like many lay people couldn't reasonably predict the whole boom in that sector. You know, there were inklings of it, but it was a big leap for people to. And it was also, so many people moved out to Nigeria after Obasanjo became president. But by 2007, 2008, many of them had begun to recover from the madness of, So that was the time that you decided, no, we're coming back. So what led to that?
I think everybody has a vision for how they want the world to look like, or how they want their world to look like. And there's some times that when the opportunity presents itself to make those things a reality, the only response you can have is, why not? By 2050, Africa is going to have 25% of the world's population. That also means that the amount of talent we have is just ridiculous. Like, we could power the whole world if we wanted to with our talent. Prior to that, 2014, myself and my friends, Ian Bryce, we were working on an EdTech solution. We're going to host North American, yes, it's called Fora. We're going to host North American course content for Africans, and we're doing that from Canada. But like you said, tech was not like that popping here those times. Internet was not that great. People were not like paying for online learning. People still don't pay for online learning. Because at the end of the day, what people want is real outcomes. I'm going to school because I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get the master's because I'll get a better paying job, right?
It's not really because they're trying to develop their skills.
We then realized that actually, what if we could create direct outcomes? At the time, for every engineer in the US, there were 5 open software engineering jobs.
Right.
And we have brilliant people here. So we're like, okay, we're going to close that gap. We're going to close that gap. And the way we're going to do it is by just training an army of software engineers here. And when we got that realization, I was like, yeah, let's do this.
So you got the realization after you had moved or before you?
Before. This was before.
Right.
This was before. And we were all just like, yeah, if we can actually do this, like, imagine what happens if you train like 100,000 software engineers.
Right.
The impact would be like tremendous. Right. So that was it. I was like, yeah, this is it.
The pivot from, as it were, from Fora to Andela happened while you guys were still in Canada.
Yeah.
I thought you guys came here. Because you were going back, there was a back and forth in your team, wasn't it? Yes.
Everything was just sort of like happening together in parallel. And like ultimately we decided that, okay, Fora as it is, it's a different idea and a different initiative. So let's wrap that up and let's focus on this on this new mission.
And by the time you chose to come to Nigeria, had you raised any funding for the business?
No.
So where were your parents at this time?
They were here.
And they think you had lost your mind.
Of course. Of course.
You lost your mind.
Of course.
Especially if they're the ones that pay for their education. Like, you lost your mind.
Of course. For things that are like a drastic change, but you really feel it in your soul that is what you should be doing, the last place to go for advice is close friends and family, because like they will respond out of love and care, because all they can see is the downsides. But only you really knows that thing that's in your mind that you need to make sure exists in the world.
The fundamental assumptions about young people in Africa and talent, do you think those assumptions are correct? Because there is the debate that there is potential talent and there is actual talent. Human beings are all intrinsically of value. Yeah? When it comes to the workforce, you are not talent because you exist. You can be talent, but you are human, yes. Anytime you talk to any CEO, everybody's talking about the talent gap. Everybody's talking about the lack of great people. Everybody's talking about, and now we can always easily blame it on migration. But we've been complaining about this thing before it became popular to Jackpot. So were your assumptions rose-tinted because you were looking from outside?
The assumptions are correct.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So definitely, just existing does not make someone a talent, right? Talent still has to be developed. Talent still has to be honed, specifically for what that talent should be doing or performing. But despite that, we still have a lot of people who are also educated. How many people are graduating from university every year in Nigeria? About 1 million or so people. Right. I think for us, it's about how do we take advantage of our numbers? Like what kinds of things can we do to nurture and improve talent? Because inside of talent development, they're also, aside from the hard skills, which I think is what you're talking about, that the fact that someone exists doesn't mean that they have the ability to do things, right? They're also traits that are innate. For example, one of the biggest predictors of success is grit and persistence. If there's one thing that we are good at in this country, is grit and persistence. Right. We overcome adversity every single day. That's a very important trait. Someone who goes to a local university here and is dealing with power issues, is dealing with stubborn lecturer, terrible study conditions, that person goes to the abroad and all of a sudden has power, has professors that want them to succeed, has proper learning material and tools, and that person just like takes off. That's the latent potential that we're talking about. Right. And it's about how do we nurture that talent? How do we continue to create opportunities for talent to thrive? That is the thing that we have to solve for us to make some of those predictions a reality.
Right. So when you came back to Nigeria and you began to work on Andela, was the confirmation of this assumption, did it come quickly, or what was the process of saying, okay, we were not mad when we came here?
It was very quick. I got here on a Saturday. On Wednesday, we had already started recruiting people. Like we had this ad out saying, "Oh, do you want to be a world-class software engineer?" And people from everywhere were just applying. And I met each of these people. I interviewed them, and I was like, "We just need to put them in the right environment, and they're gonna explode."
Yeah. For a while, you were more behind this, even till now, gone, more behind the scenes than in front. So I'm asking you that question in 2 levels. What was that like building this company out in those initial years when people didn't even understand what you were doing? And was it a deliberate choice to do this from behind the scene?
It was an incredible experience because we're doing something that had never been done before. We're also doing it in a market where people did not believe that it was possible. We're also doing it with limited resources a lot of the times. It was very tough. It is what I would describe as hard fun. So it was really difficult in terms of the effort, but it was fun in the sense that as we were doing our work, we were actually seeing the results right away. Like we would see, imagine working with somebody who has never written a single line of code before, and 4 months later, they're working with a company in Finland, and those people are saying, "I'm so happy to have this person on my team." It's like incredible. About doing it from behind the scenes versus, I think different people are good at different things. For me, I prefer to keep a low profile.
Why?
Why?
Yes.
I think not keeping a low profile actually invites unwanted attention as well, which can either be more anxiety inducing for someone like me, and I'd rather just do the thing that I want to do. And it's also great for me to have team members who have the ability to be out there, because someone also has to be out there, has to be talking about it on a daily basis, has to be addressing the people who are raising the controversy. Like somebody has to be out there doing that. And so I think we had a very good team dynamic that way.
Do you think that Andela would have grown so fast without having a Jeremy on the team?
No.
Right. And do you think that people who think, well, you had an Oyibo kind of helping you. You're this Nigerian team, you're doing this thing. Why do we need this Oyibo man to help us?
One of our biggest strengths at Andela was our diversity.
Right.
It wasn't just Nigerians and Oyibo. We were 6 co-founders. Who's Nigerian.
Yeah.
Me, I'm Nigerian. Ian is Canadian.
Right.
Bryce is from Cameroon.
Right.
Jeremy is American.
Yeah.
Christina is also American. It's like making a soup that needs specific ingredients. Each person on that team had their own unique strengths. That without one person, something would have not been right. And you cannot deny the impact of having someone like Jeremy on that team. Jeremy was a founder whose company had went public.
Yeah.
The parent company is incorporated in the US. It has subsidiaries operating in different countries in Africa. Team members are from all over the world working at all of these different centers. The engineers are from all of these different countries where the country is operating in. And the work is going on and impact is happening and people are growing and the ecosystem is growing. So I'm like, do we actually want to spend our time talking about what is the nationality of a company which is a legal structure versus like what is the real work that is going on?
Yeah.
For me, it was futile. That's why I don't engage in things like that.
Did you leave Nadayar to found Indian Lifestyle?
Yes.
Or was there a break? So it was straight up?
It was straight. It was literally like the same day.
The time when Nadayar was in great flux, was it around that time that you left?
Remember when I was talking about my surgery and the period of just depression and then eventually realizing that I am here and I want to do something with being here. The thing with Andela that really unlocked something for me was we created access for a whole lot of people, for like thousands, tens of thousands, and today about 100,000 people have been through something that Andela has created. After I had that period where I was really trying to search for my own reason for existence, I was like, okay, I've lived in Lagos. At the same time, my sister, who was the only family I had in Lagos, had just decided that she was relocating to the UK.
Right.
So that happened in that period. Some of my friends and colleagues that I had in Lagos too were also on the Japa wave. Like, I think that was when that thing was really starting in full swing. And what I decided was that I really wanted for my life's purpose to make this place a place people want to stay instead of wanting to leave. That was my resolve. Andela had unlocked that for me because I was like, yeah, it is possible to create some sort of access. So like how do we create access to the good life on a much, much larger scale? That's really what Eden life is. If you talk about like the Garden of Eden. When I came to that realization, I went to our team and I was like, guys, I really have to do this because literally without this, I don't think my life can function. And they were all super, super supportive. In fact, our first backers at Eden Life were the founders. My last day there was March 31st. And then April 8th, we had started working on Eden Life. So that was the transition.
Those two things were different. Many young people want to be in the tech industry. Many young people are always joke. One of my big grievances with the tech industry as a whole is how much media talent is stealing. So you have young people who I know want to be media, and they're like, "Oh, my passion is tech." I'm like, "No, your passion is not. Your passion is dollars." So let's look back at. So everybody is fascinated by tech. What triggers you to think about? Okay, I want to create this kind of a universe. You know. I'd like that process to be brought to life as much as you can.
Yeah.
Take us into your mind.
Okay, it starts from just a small seed of the world looks like this. I want it to look like this. For example, like Paystack and Flutterwave, they said we need to make it easy for people to pay for stuff online because like if people can pay for stuff online, people can sell a lot more. They started there and now they have platforms that allow people to pay easily online from anywhere. It just starts with that alternate reality that you're seeing or you want. Following that is just a series of like constant conversations with yourself and with other people to validate that idea or to refine the idea. For example, for us at Eden Life, when we said, okay, life cannot be this hard here, we have to like make sure the quality of life is improved 10 times. When we started saying that, our first idea was, Lagos is terrible, let's go build a new Lagos. Over like multiple discussions and research and like thinking about what is the first thing we can do to start moving in that direction. the idea gets more and more refined until it is very clear that this is the clear next step to take and this is the thing to build for this kind of person.
Or is it because your vision was very Lagos specific at the time and eventually made you stay in Lagos and not move into other cities? Or am I just off base and there's another reason behind that?
Okay.
Or is it a lie that you're Lagos based alone?
We are building a global product.
Right.
So the question of like, are you in Lagos versus Abuja versus Ibadan is only a matter of when. Because we're also a venture-backed startup, there are things we have to prove out in sequence. Right. One of the most important things to prove is that if you're building a global product is that it can indeed work in multiple geographies. Right. So as much as Nairobi looks like Lagos in terms of like how things may function or how the economies look, it's still like a different primary language. Right. It's still a different culture, and proving that like a platform can scale into those kind of geographies is best to tackle some of those kind of challenges head on very early. If we decided we wanted to expand into Abuja, we would do it tomorrow because it's right there. It's literally copy and paste, but we have to learn those learnings early. Right. That's why we made that decision. We're building our products in a way where like a year, 2 years from now is not something that might necessarily be constrained by location, because when we talk about the lack of access to the good life, which is what Eden Life is solving, it is really two things that cause that problem. One of them is the lack of information. Right. Like if you don't even know how to take care of yourself, how to live a healthy life, or how to build wealth, or how to create more time so you can enjoy life. Everything that you try to do is dead on arrival. You have to know first. So the information base we can definitely democratize. Like smart people have figured out these things. We can collect all of that information and make it open. Once we accomplish that, anybody can access those benefits from our products in those places. Then the second layer is the products and services across all these different categories. So whether it's like food delivery or is medicine, or is wellness products and services, or is home services and maintenance and like things that just help you to be more efficient, or is lifestyle experiences, we can start to layer those on because those are more dependent on like the physical surroundings. Right. But at the very least, we should be able to democratize that information to everybody. Yes.
If you describe the vision that you had and where you are, do you think you succeeded in Lagos? And do you think that, because if I was interviewing you at the time we started the business, I said to you, do you think this is Lagos? It was designed to be chaotic. It was designed to be stressful. And to be honest, some people like the stress. Like I always joke that the thing about Lagos is you see people in beer parlors, and you're like, this has happened twice. Where I'm like, oh, madam, there's too much bone in this isiewu. Can you please send it back into the kitchen and let them remove the bone? And somebody by my side says, no, without the bone, it is not isiewu. And I'm like, but we're not going to eat the bone. Like, Lagos tires me out. So people like that. That's some men send their children to Canada and they are here. They're like, no, the Canada life is too soft. But UK life is too soft. We have to also eat here. So one, I would have asked you that, are you sure you're okay? Because some people like this hard life. So has that been your experience? That Nigerians don't really, Lagosians, we are fine with the hustle. And if you did think about that when you started the business, what was the thing you noticed about Lagosians that made you think they were open to somebody softening their life, so to speak?
The main thing is that everybody here does not have enough time. Even if you like to suffer, you don't even have enough time to enjoy enough suffering. Right? It's either you're going to be stuck in traffic for a long period of time, or you're going to be in queue to buy fuel for your car. You're depending on someone to get something done for you, and the person wastes your time because they just don't show up on time or they don't do the right thing, so you have to do it again by yourself. So all of those things. Time is literally money. In fact, you could argue that time is greater than money because you don't get time back. Once it's gone, that's it. Money rules in Lagos. Like everybody is in Lagos because they want to build something or they want to create something for themselves. So that precious resource, I think people looked at that and said, you know what, I'd rather have that time because with that time I can accomplish more. I can grow myself more, I can grow my business more, I can focus on my personal life more, I can focus on enjoying the experiences that I want to enjoy, things that will actually make me say I have a good life. And that's why people embraced our idea. So the original question of have we succeeded in our mission? We are on the journey there. Right. There are thousands of people today who have said, Eden Life has changed my life. I do not know how I was living without this thing. And in a lot of ways, we haven't started yet. Because today we have created a platform that offers multiple services. People can get food delivery on there. People can get their dry cleaning done. They can get their home maintained and kept. But specifically, like when we think about the good life, I describe it as it's the life you want, right? You are healthy, you are wealthy, and you're fulfilled. That's how I would describe it. And the entry point to that is health.
Right.
Without health, everything else is useless. And the entry point for health is food.
Right.
It's like what you eat, you are actually what you eat, right? But tell me why we looked at over 100 restaurants and like there's no restaurant that's providing you with nutritional information. You actually do not know what you're eating. On Eden Life, every single meal is designed for maximum nutrition and the information is there. So we have proven that is possible. We have proven it for thousands of people. And the next step for us is how do we take all of these things that we have learned and continue to make it more accessible to anybody who has a business in each of these areas, and how do we connect them to the consumers?
So what Eden does in a nutshell is the general life things that a person would have to deal with in surviving in Lagos, it takes the burden of them. How does it do that exactly?
It just puts everything at your fingertips.
But is it literally everything or some things? Like
what we are building, our vision is for it to be everything.
Right.
It's going to be the operating system for your life.
So everything like laundry, food.
So let's start with food, right? You want to eat, how do you eat?
Yeah.
The platform is going to handle that for you.
How does it handle that?
The way it handles it is, I'll use myself an example because I'm patient zero, right?
Okay.
Every day by noon, my lunch and dinner gets delivered. Before coming here, I had jollof and peppered gizzard stew with some vegetables on the side.
Right.
Every single day that happens. And every week, the Eden Life app tells me, we have a new menu this week. Choose what you're going to eat next week. And I just look through and I choose the things I'm going to eat. And it just happens like autopilot.
Right.
For every service or product that we add into that ecosystem, the idea is for it to function in a very seamless way. Right now, for you to access these things is very difficult. Like if you want to eat, for example, if you want to eat consciously, like you want to eat and you want to count the calories for your food, you want to eat in a healthy way, you're going to do a lot of work for yourself.
Yes.
You're going to do research.
Yes.
You're going to have to do the shopping yourself. You probably do the cooking yourself or hire a chef. But like Eden Life is like, no, it's right here. We've already curated it. Just all you have to do is push the button.
Right. Was there an international reference for the thing you were building? Or was this something that was unique to the space in which you found yourself?
It's a bit of both. There are definitely international parallels.
Right. Like which ones?
Our biggest inspiration is a company in China.
Okay.
It's called Meituan.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So Meituan is the ultimate super app in China. You can get food delivery on there.
Right.
You can book a massage on there. You can buy movie tickets on there.
Really?
You can book hotels and flights on there. You can book healthcare services on there. It's like everything in one place. If you're a consumer, you're using that platform because everything you need for your life to function is on there. They have been very, very successful.
Right.
Not just successful in commercial terms of making money. It's a $130 billion company. But beyond that, what they have really done is they have over 1 million businesses that deliver these services to the customer network. And they have built tools to enable those businesses to thrive at a high level. So these people in China, they prove that you can actually build tools for businesses and service providers. And they're a good model for us to emulate over here.
Right. Ultimately, you know, companies looking to expand globally, you're trying to build a global brand. Companies especially look at it and say, well, instead of doing all this hard work in this jungle, you know, Nadayar has already done the work. You know, let's get him into the room. Let's talk about him. Let's confuse him with money. Let's move on. Is that the ultimate game plan? Is there an ultimate game plan?
The ultimate game plan is to say we have actually made quality of life here 10 times better. We're less concerned about how we get there.
Right.
And more focused on getting there.
What can really be the long-term plan in a market like this? And so that's the thing we were talking about earlier. Most people are like, well, since we don't really understand that, it doesn't look like these countries are going anywhere. These guys are too smart. They must have a longer game plan that does not include an economy that improves.
If you look at like the current economic situations,
Yeah.
it does feel like there's no improvement.
Yeah.
If you look at governance, it doesn't feel like there's improvement as well. The reason why you are here is not because of a lack of opportunity globally. It's because there's something that you see here that you're like, if only we could harness this and that, the story could be different. And I think it's becoming easier and easier to do that. And there's more and more and more people who are trying to do this. If you can solve for quality of life in Lagos, you can do it anywhere.
That's a good one.
Yes, definitely. If you can solve it here,
solve for quality of life in Lagos.
yes, you can do it anywhere. Yes.
Do you think the vision of what it was going to be as an empowering, nurturing ecosystem has panned out? Or is it, as somebody tweeted 2 weeks ago, it has become a toxic, competitive, everybody's under pressure?
Well, I would never have described our tech ecosystem as like toxic or like competitive in a negative way. Right. Are people under pressure? Of course, people are under pressure. People are under pressure everywhere, right? It's like building startups is not a joke. I have found the ecosystem to be very supportive, actually. I do believe that our ecosystem could be more tight-knit. And I think some people are about to take advantage of that next year because it's clear that the whole like COVID thing is behind us. So there'll be more opportunities to bring people together. But all the times that I have reached out online to ask for help and support, I have gotten help and support. And that has been my experience discussing with other people as well. Right.
People do business for a lot of reasons. But for me, if it's not an interesting problem, it's like, well, if you just wanted to make money, that's fine. You know, but interesting problems are interesting for a reason. Yeah.
Yes.
I think this thing that you've done is an interesting problem.
Thank you so much today.
Thank you for joining me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.